Anyway, with that said, you mentioned something very interesting. Like you had this background in e-commerce. So when you then had this idea of, okay, I think I want to create this product, what was the next step then in creating maybe the prototypes for it, or really starting to dive in and figure out what was the market already serving and what gaps were you going to fill in to make the product better or more approachable?
Yeah, like you said, they existed in the marketplace already. And there was a lot of testing. I had tried a lot of cups out, and discs came a little bit later in the journey. I didn't feel like I could find one that really worked well with my anatomy and that I could trust to give to my friends and to my family. And so I really wanted to create the perfect cup for beginners specifically. And we did have a mission and a dream. And one of those dreams was we wanted it to be Target worthy. What I mean is that, Target was really our target retailer because they're more progressive. It's a great discovery channel. People go there to discover new brands. They're very, very aligned with sustainable brands and ones that have, ethical practices and good missions. So we wanted it to go into Target stores, and we'll get there in a minute. But that was kind of our measuring stick from the get-go. And we wanted it to work really well for beginners as a high performance product that also looked beautiful. So it was a journey of both the innovation of the product and also innovation of the brand and the brand voice. So we'll talk about the product first. But what we did is we bought every cup out there. We cut them all up. We understood what made them tick. We understood the firmnesses of it. We realized some things that seemed a little bit counterintuitive, like thicker walls actually help the cup to stay open better. And so it doesn't leak on you, and which is something we've heard in reviews over and over again for people who have tried other cups and tried ours. They said this one has worked the best for my anatomy, and it doesn't leak because it actually stays open. You can actually hear a little pop when you open it. And it's because it stays open and it doesn't fold on you, so that, it ensures that everything is caught in the right place. And, stems at the time on these cups were they had these grip rings that would just irritate. And I said, well, why do we have to have those grip rings? We need the stem. People were actually cutting off the stems. I would read it in Reddits and, different channels where they'd say, I just cut off the stem because it irritates me. I'm like, let's develop a stem that doesn't irritate. And so that was something very novel at the time, a flexible stem that didn't irritate. So we really paid attention to all the details to make the perfect cup. And now, we're the best-selling cup on Amazon, best-selling cup in Target stores nationwide. And we've really been able to achieve that. But at first, it was a lot of that trial and error. And because we're talking about entrepreneurship, when you're developing these cups, we had two sizes, a larger size and a smaller size. And each of these were etched in steel into these molds, these silicone molds, and each one cost $25K. And so you're talking about $50K if you didn't get it right. Like, that was the investment. And if you had to change the mold, well, you just lost $50K and you're investing again. And of course, that's coming from retirement funds, that's coming from your own funds. And so we really needed to get it right. So it turned into 14 different design iterations to develop our first cup, which was our flagship product before we developed our others.